In our last episode of The Cold Truth, we went over the Dilatov case, which had a lot of mystery around it. Like, there were a lot of unanswered questions.
So much mystery.
So, yeah, like, it took us a while to kind of come up with our thing. With this case,
it's the
complete opposite. I mean, so much.
There's so much. We couldn't just put it on a Google Docs and call it a day.
Right. There's so many different stories.
Yeah, and there's so many different suspects.
Right. Oh
there's so
my
much
gosh, the list
evidence
is
that's going on with this case.
Right.
Like, there is so much, and I couldn't even dip my toe in. I had to full on dive into this. Like,
yeah, waterboard to be able to even begin to understand the case. So the case in question is the Villisca Axe Murders. Let's dive into the cold truth. Okay, so the Villisca Axe Murders, it says like murders, and that was because it wasn't like a string of events. It was this one major event that happened in Villisca. Was it Ohio?
Villisca, Iowa.
Yes, a little small town.
It was a very, very small town. Yeah. They didn't have a big population at all.
No, very close-knit community too. And so basically what happened is you have this family.
It was a family, it's called the Moore family.
Yes.
Joshua Moore and Sarah Moore were the father and the mother, and then they had 6 kids, which is already insane enough.
Right, but then you gotta think,
they didn't have 6 kids, they had 4 kids.
4 kids, but in the murders they had these 2 other children that weren't their own. We'll get to it, but this happened in 1912. So,
ironic enough. I mean, it was already a bad time at the time.
It was a very bad time in our history.
A war going on.
Yeah. So they had that on top of this crazy event. And so we have this family, and they're in their house, normal. Everything's normal. They invite these 2 girls over, and the kids' ages ranged, right? Like the youngest, gosh.
The youngest was 5.
Yes.
The oldest out of all the kids, including the 2 friends, was 12.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a decently different range of kids.
It's a decent sized range, but still, it's not very old.
No, none of these kids were like teens or old at all little kids, which is what makes this case so awful.
It does. It makes it so awful because, I mean, the youngest victim was 5.
Yeah, and that's just sickening to me. And the way these people were murdered, it's in the name, Villisca Axe Murders. They were all killed by an axe, but it's like the nature of the killing is
violent.
Disgusting.
It is. It's really, really disgusting. I had a hard time actually researching this case because it made me nauseous to hear about things that were done.
Right, yeah. And
it still gives me chills.
Yeah, this was definitely a much harder case to research because not only, there's just so much that happened that night.
Not only is there a lot of information, but we don't know what of the information is true.
Right, so that is actually something that we came into a lot. Like, all of the different suspects, a lot of them had, solid stories, but then there's just so many crazy people in this story where they're just, hysterical or obsessed with the case, making all sorts of claims that are, hard to prove fact. So that adds into it just a web of things that were really hard to sift through. And these suspects
are insane. Literally and figuratively. Are insane. I mean, there's 6 maybe?
There's a lot.
Don't quote me on that, but I think
there's a lot. And even then, there's still so many other different suspects that we didn't research. These random people were
Well, I tried researching a lot of these people, but I could not. It's like they disappeared. I know they didn't have internet back then, but
but still no record, no nothing.
It's like they disappeared off the face of the earth. Like there was nothing about them.
Yeah.
That's already kind of weird, but no gravesite, nothing.
Nothing, and it's so strange. And so
all I have is the name.
The name and then the grainiest photo you'll ever find from some news clipping. Okay, so these suspects are already pretty insane, hard to figure out, and then just not being able to know what's true and what's factual and what they're just making up in their head. Because this case is so so vile. Okay, so the night happened. Originally they had these two girls come over because the family went to church, right? They went to service.
They went to go to the Children's Day service in which someone was preaching at, and
we'll get to him. We'll get to him.
It was at the time there was a dispute with the power company, so lights were not on for half of the city, and so since it was so dark out and they didn't want to leave these two girls alone, Lena and Ina, they didn't want to leave them alone to walk home because they didn't live in town. They lived right on the outskirts of town, and they're like, "Oh, you can just stay at our house," and they had set up a guest bedroom downstairs, and the two girls slept there while the mother and father were up in their own room as well as the other 4 children upstairs. And so early around 7 a.m. the next day, Mary Peckingham was the Moore family's neighbor, and she had woken up and saw that the cows weren't fed, the animals weren't taken care of. So she went over to knock on their door, and she tried to open the door, but it was locked. And at this point in time, locking your doors was just not
right. Because again, like we mentioned earlier, this was a really small community, small town. Everybody trusted each other. Everybody knew each other. It was very crime really wasn't a thing there. No. I mean, nobody would have suspected anything. So for their door to be locked and for all these other things to happen, it was really, really strange and out of the ordinary.
Mary ended up calling the father, Joshua Moore's brother, and he ended up coming over with the key, and he unlocked the building, their house, in which is when they found all 8 people dead.
And not just axe murder. Obviously, their death was caused by the axe, but it wasn't
it wasn't quick and painless. It was
not one bit.
Long and painful.
Horrible, disgusting. Yeah. I mean, you would think not the sharp end of the axe.
It was used. The blunt end of the axe was used. And one thing stuck out to me is that Joshua Moore had over 30 blows to his head alone. That's not counting all the mother and all the other children. Someone has to be physically fit in order to do that.
To be able to lift and do a weapon, not just one person, a whole family of people.
And one thing we ended up finding out later on, due to the fact that there was a shoe of blood, it had gotten tipped over, and that indicated that the person killed everybody once, and then went around second time and hit everybody again. And with the way that he did it, he started with the parents, specifically Joshua Moore. He took out the biggest threat, and then he moved to the mother, and then while he was upstairs, he went ahead and killed all of the children, and then he went downstairs and killed the 2 ceiling girls. He then went back upstairs again to hit everyone upstairs, and then went back and hit those girls again. Yep. And then afterwards, there was...
that is another thing about this case.
It's not two different things about this, though.
Yeah, it's not just the fact that whoever did this was disgusting enough to go around and kill an entire family. The other things that were found at the crime scene
disgust me.
Disgusting. We can't go into detail too much.
We can be brief about it.
Yeah, it's just so. You have to be in.
When Mary and Joshua's brother walked into the house, there was remnants of breakfast on the table, indicating that someone had sat down and made themselves breakfast, and then. Later on in the guest room with the 2 Steelinger girls.
The little girls who were young, the youngest.
Lena Steelinger was found with her body pulled to the edge of the bed. And then there was a chair in the corner with a oil lamp without the protective glass on it that was still lit. And their circumstances and what's implied with the stuff that was found is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
I couldn't fathom any of that.
No. And
that's the part that actually made me
sick,
nauseous, sick to my stomach, because that is disgusting.
And it takes a certain kind of person to do something like this. I mean, one, you already crazy enough to commit murder.
You have to be already off the rails in order to commit murder.
Yeah. So, family, these 2 little girls pass away. Okay. And now the police are left to try and figure out the mass amount of suspects that arise in this case.
And the trouble that comes with the police is that within 30 minutes of the announcement of them over the town that the Moore family had been murdered, every single person within that town was at the Moore family's house.
Searching
at the
around
crime
the crime scene.
touching the weapon. They were touching the bodies. They were moving anything and everything that they could get their hands on. And it took police, I want to say, over an hour and a half to actually finally set up a blockade so that they couldn't get into the house.
But by that time, like, so many people had been in the house, so many people had moved everything, that it's just any sort of physical evidence that could have helped figure out that, like, a solid person was just gone. And that's really heartbreaking.
It is. It's really heartbreaking because if they were able to keep any of the evidence, we could have figured out who did this.
Yeah.
And it's just, this case definitely stressed me out, and I didn't get enough time to research it. This is just what I was able to get in the 2 days I was able to research it. And it just...
So much, and just...
There's so much and so little at the same time.
Right, like there's just so much information out there about all these people, what they've said, what they did, but there isn't a clear answer, and that's frustrating.
It's frustrating enough. It's just, I wish that we were able to clear some of that up. Even with the evidence we did have, we should have been able to clear some of it up. But
right, but the nature of these different suspects,
it's just,
it's crazy. And so, we were able to piece together
somewhat of a timeline.
Of a timeline and a map of these different suspects. And so we'll show you. Which, we're going to call this our baby.
Yeah, this is my baby. This is what I've created in the
Honestly, it's just because everything is so crazy.
Yeah.
With this case. And the amount
of all the suspects, the evidence of the suspects, and the lack of evidence with some of them.
Right.
Oh my gosh. There's so much that goes into this case and so little that comes out of it.
Yeah. So, okay, so we have our suspects here. So we'll just go through them. We have William Mansfield. Okay.
He is a retired soldier.
Yes, he is.
And as well as an ex-convict.
And the idea behind him being a suspect was people thought the government hired him.
The government hired him, or he was a hired hitman.
Yeah.
For our next suspect, which is Frank F. Jones, the only thing I could really find about this man is that at the time of the murder, he was not in town.
Yeah.
He was nowhere to be seen.
We ruled him out because, I mean, like, his alibi, his story kind of met up, and, like, the police and everything were like, okay, yeah.
And, like, they ended up ruling him out. I don't know that we would, but they ended up ruling him out.
We gotta go with what we know. We gotta go with what we found.
And, like, the only thing that's very suspicious about Frank is the fact that he had a rivalry with Joshua, the father of the Moore family. Like, I'm talking to the point where they wouldn't even walk on the same sidewalk at all. Like, they would cross the street just to not see each other. And there was a rumor, I'm not sure who was having the affair, but someone was having an affair with someone's daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who was doing it. I don't know if it was Joshua or if it was Frank. That I don't know, because I could not find the answer on that at all.
There's very little information on him. But the reason why we don't want to completely rule him out is because his hatred was so strong. And Joshua was the one member of the family. Like we said, he was hit first. He was hit many times. He, came back, got hit again. So whoever did it obviously had some sort of motive or hatred for him. So that's kind of why we are But our next person, we have Joe Ricks.
He was arrested in Monmouth, Illinois, with bloody shoes.
Like we mentioned earlier, that bloody shoe that was found tipped. That's kind of our correlation.
But we ended up ruling him out due to the fact that there was little to nothing about this guy. He didn't have any correlations with this.
Right, with the family, the town. Really nothing. So we did rule him out. Another person we ruled out was Andrew Sawyer. And whenever we kind of first talked about this, we talked about all the people that were obsessed with it, would just make up stories. He was one of them, okay? He was super obsessed.
He was obsessed with the murder case, and not only that, but he was super weird about axes.
Yes.
He slept with one. He slept with one.
Yeah.
constantly.
It was odd.
Would talk about the fact that, oh, I witnessed the murder. I witnessed the murder. He didn't witness the murder. We were able to put him at a time and place other than Villisca, Iowa at the time.
Yeah, so we're just, we didn't think it's him. Oh. Then we get
to Henry Lee Moore. He has no relations to the father at all.
The last names are the same, but no relation.
No relations, not related at all. But he was convicted for axe murders after the Villisca one.
Not the Villisca one, but there was a string of axe murders that kind of before and after the Villisca, a lot to do with the trains.
Yes.
Like a lot of the train tracks, it was all along railroads.
One thing about Henry is that he did work with the train and on the railroads, so he traveled with the train.
Yep.
And if the train left a certain place, he would have to leave as well.
Yep, and it kind of followed the line of the murders, and he got convicted for it. So we're like...
And one thing that stood out with it, his murders in specific, is that there was always an oil lamp found at the scene that had no protective glass on it, as well as the fact that every reflective surface in the house or the apartment was covered with a cloth.
Yes, which we forgot to mention. In the Villisca house, that's exactly what happened. Every mirror, anything that the perpetrator could have seen themselves was covered with clothes, like a blanket, literally anything. And so that was kind of the correlation between the two, which is really specific and strange.
It is very strange. I mean, I would understand, like, I personally would probably do that, but it's not that it's never going to happen. But I feel like I wouldn't be able to
look at myself after what I've done,
and I'd, like, wouldn't be able to approach that.
Yeah, so I kind of get that. But then...
then this is the one that I could find the most evidence on. The suspect that has the most evidence planted on him, literally and figuratively. His name is Reverend George Kelly.
Let's just dive into. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to start.
Reverend Kelly didn't have a great reputation to begin with. He was what people considered a troubled traveler. There was trouble wherever he went, and he was also very known for being a peeping Tom, especially with little kids. He was also a preacher at the time.
Yes.
On June 18th, he traveled by train to Villisca, Iowa, where he would preach on June 19th at the Children's Day services.
The service that the Moore family attended.
They did. They attended it.
Yeah. And so he saw them.
He saw them. He ended up leaving right before they did, in which is already suspicious enough, but...
And like Peeping Tom, what we said about one of the girls and how they were found, the state of the room. And like that already is enough, but what happened after the murders in relation to him is insane. The letters?
He ended up writing letters to investigators as well as the Moore family's living relatives, claiming that he was an investigator to the relatives, and then he wanted to try and get inside information to see if they knew anything or everything about what actually happened. Not only that, but later on down the road, before he ended up going to an asylum for his schizophrenia.
I felt, especially like this reverend was always around kids. He was known, like he was a peeping Tom, but he was also known to just harass any women around him, just because he could, I guess, at the time.
Another thing that stuck out to me is he was first arrested after the case in 1912, but the investigators said word for word, a man of his build could not commit these crimes. And that is one thing that stuck out to me, because a witness says, the witness did not include their name in this, unfortunately, that she heard 3 men talking in the woods about murdering the Moore family. And that also stuck out to me because I can see the reasoning behind it. I mean, so much goes into this case.
Yeah.
The money, the fact that they have to do it very quickly.
Right. To not, because I mean,
and they have to be smart.
House and family full of people. I mean,
and you didn't wake up a single one. And there was no drugs in these people's system.
Oh, no.
At all. None. In order to be quiet, quick, and efficient, that is something that you have to be trained for.
So we've kind of taken all the information, looked at all the suspects, and we think that we've knit together kind of
what we think
happened. Which is very interesting.
It is very interesting.
Very interesting, because like they said, 3 people. So we kind of got our 3 people. We have the brain behind it, the money and the hatred behind it, the muscle.
So we can start with the money. I think Frank Jones funded this.
Very wealthy man.
Because
he had the hatred.
He had the hatred. He had the motive behind it. I mean, with how much he hated this guy, it's just something about him doesn't seem right in this case. And I get that they didn't end up charging him and let him go, but I don't think he was an innocent man.
No. And again, with the hatred, like even if he wasn't the one that inflicted the harm on Joseph, he 100% could have given the order. Like, this is the man I hate, you, like, this is who to go for. Mm-hmm. So I fully think Frank Jones is the one that had the money for it and the hatred for it.
The brains behind it. I think, although he did have schizophrenia, he was extremely smart.
Right.
George Reverend.
I think he saw the family. He
had to. Especially with the fact that he was found sending one of his shirts to the dry cleaners that was coated in blood.
Yep. And the brains behind it, he could have figured everything out. Mm-hmm. And like with the letters and the creepy details about the case, he knew something.
He definitely knew something. I mean, so in order to be found with blood on your shirt, as well as, I mean, Reverend even admitted in court when he was arrested that he was the one that did it.
Yep.
But then he tried to backtrack and say that it was the pressure by police.
That's its own thing. That speaks for itself.
And later on down the road, Reverend was actually arrested in 1917 for these murders.
Yep.
He was
5
sentenced.
years, yeah.
He didn't serve a lot of time, and he was able to live out his final days in an asylum because his schizophrenia had gotten so bad.
Yep.
And at one point during the trial in 1917, he said, quote for quote, "He made me do it." And the only thing that I could either think of is either Henry telling...
And one of the actual people saying, "Oh, do this," or of course, if he was struggling with schizophrenia,
it could have been something in the voices, or it could have been Frank.
Literally any.
Reverend already didn't have a great reputation at all. He didn't really care about his reputation. Yep. I mean, and the only person that does care about his reputation in this stance is Frank.
Yep. So that's kind of how they kind of tie together. And so then we get to Muscle, who actually was the one to go in and, murder this whole family. And we think it was Henry Moore.
We do.
Because it matches up with the trains.
It matches up with the trains. Not only the work that he does, he puts railroads in the ground. That kind of labor and that kind of day-to-day job, you build a lot of muscle.
It requires a lot of strength. A lot of that, like picking up, if you're like hammering nails into the ground, that's a lot of the same motion action, the same that you kind of would if you were hurting
Not
somebody
only that, but they found out later on that the person that committed these crimes and killed these people were left-handed. And Henry was also left-handed. And it's just, he traveled with the train. The day that he came into town was June 18th. The day that he left town was June 19th. He travels with the train.
Yep.
And an eyewitness on the train did state that they saw Reverend and Henry talking.
And so that's how they tie together. Yeah.
I mean, to commit murders like this, especially with Joshua's, I mean, the way that he had over 30 blows to his head and they were able to still hit everybody else and kill them is insane. You have to have a lot of built-up endurance to these kind of things. It's the same thing as, say, you're playing baseball. You have to practice. You have to gain strength to hold the bat. I mean...
Yeah, it's sickening.
It is. It's
sickening.
Disgusting.
And in the end, the only person who has ever really convicted and tried is the Reverend. other than that, of course, Henry, Frank let off, nothing other than Henry, but he got convicted of murders other than Villisca. But, same mannerisms. It's just, this whole case just makes me want to break down and cry.
It does. I mean,
honestly.
It makes me nauseous. I mean, the nature of it, the violence that went into this crime, and the fact that they were able to hide it so well. I mean, it's disgusting. I'm disgusted.
It really is. And even today, they have the house that this family was murdered in. You can visit it. A lot of people have gone, said it's haunted, that the spirits of these kids that passed away, the parents that passed away, and even some of the suspects can hang around.
From some of the reports I've read and I've heard about, specifically, it's not the kids in the family that lived there, it was the murderer. Not only that, but one thing we forgot to mention is that there was they were cigarette butts in their attic, and that's where I personally think Henry was hiding at the time. I think the Reverend was already walking towards the house, because it wasn't just some random axe, it was the Moore family's axe.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not exactly sure what the truth is, but what do you guys think the cold truth is?